Okay, let's pull Amy in. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi, Amy.
It's going pretty good. I'm excited to talk to you. I have been listening to Chewed Gum for a long time, so I'm excited to get to call in.
Yay, I'm so happy you called. Thank you for listening.
Yes. So, my question, I think, will require a little context, but probably not much, because I don't think that my experience is particularly unique, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with it. So, I was born into a highly orthodox Mormon family. And in case you aren't familiar, Mormons are Christian, even though other Christians are. Anyways, they're also their own brand of weird. And anyway, they're extremely patriarchal. And the more orthodox an individual is within the religion, the more that patriarchy becomes pronounced. So I was born into a highly, highly orthodox pioneer ancestors, been a member since Nauvoo. Like, my family has been Mormon forever. And so I was born into this system that was highly structured to minimize me as a girl, as a woman, as an individual. And 2 years ago, I deconstructed, realized, like, I had my awakening. I realized it wasn't true. And I started intentionally learning other religions and philosophy and just critical thinking in general and epistemology, that sort of, I started actively pursuing how we know what we know, But in doing all of that, I came to realize just how entrenched I was and had been in these misogynistic systems. And I don't, this is going to sound really dramatic. So, like, part of why I've been talking so long is because I'm trying to find, like, a less dramatic way to say it, but I give up. I'm just going to say it. All I have is rage. Like, There is only fury, and I don't know what to do about it, because I look at my life and I see all of the opportunities that were just withheld from me or denied from me, or even, like, at one point, not to out my family or whatever, but, like, at one point, my dad actively prevented me from attending a university I wanted to go to, because he said that he was the authority figure in my life and he didn't think that that was the right school for me to go to. And I mean, of course it's tough, because, you look back and go, oh, well, if these things hadn't happened, I wouldn't have XYZ. But also just realizing how so much of my life has not been my choice. And I don't know how to deal with, like, the anger and the grief over all of the missed opportunities and all of the, like, wondering who I could have been if I had been in a different situation. And I don't know how to, like, function in the world, because I walk around and all I see is patriarchy, and it makes me want to fly off the handle. Like, I don't know what to do. So there's my long context. What are your thoughts?
I don't think you're being dramatic. I think you're having a reasonable reaction, and I can heavily relate. Yeah, I can heavily relate, because I didn't grow up Mormon, but I grew up evangelical, and they did their own things with sexism. But I definitely people always talk about the stereotype with atheists of like being angry, but there's kind of a reason that atheists get angry or people who leave religion get angry, at least for a period of time. And it's because they feel like they were lied to, or things were taken away from them, or like things that could have been like you mentioned. And I think that anger can be useful in a lot of ways, and it's like part of the whole entire thing. Like anger is there for a reason. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One thing for me, especially when it came to relationships, because I had a lot of anger towards, people in my life who upheld all of those things, and then I became a part of it, was kind of realizing that it is way bigger than the people I know. Like it's just, and it's kind of like victims create other victims type thing. Um,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but it kind of helped me direct my anger at bigger concepts, or like the bigger picture, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, it's really hard. I um had a ton of anger, and I feel like that's very valid, and I still have a ton of anger, especially with just like things happening politically and watching like Christian nationalism and stuff. So I
Oh
don't
my
think it's
God.
dramatic at all.
I
I think it's
know.
very reasonable. Yeah. It's a little triggering when you're like trying to leave that, and then it's like becoming so
Here,
much
we're going to take
worse,
over your
like
government now.
currently.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
it's like a different kind of pain for ex-Christians watching this go down, because you're like, "Oh damn, I thought I was gonna get away from this." But you
mhm,
don't really.
yeah, very much. And
Yeah.
yeah, I are there. Sorry, I'm trying to think of how to word my thoughts.
No, it's okay.
What suggestions do you have in terms of like productively channeling it? Because I have found like I since leaving religion, I've become much more like involved in local politics, like civically involved. And I mean, almost every Wednesday I go and I meet with my little, I have a little like political group that I go meet with every Wednesday. And they're all like in their 60s and 70s, and it's kind of fun. Anyway,
Aw.
point being, like I've been looking for ways to like get more active and be more productive instead of just feeling like I'm seething all of the time. Do you have any other suggestions for like ways to I don't know, put it to use instead of just getting eaten up by it constantly? Because even little things like sometimes my husband, and don't get me wrong, my husband is a wonderful human being. We're still together. Everything's good. Sometimes he'll say things and I want to like just leave forever. And it'll be things that I know, like rationally, I fully recognize that I am having like a dysregulated response, but it's because there's all of this. I mean, there's 33 years of I have been bending over backwards to be in this thing that I was always uncomfortable in. Because I remember, I mean, I was just barely over 8 years old when the first time that I realized, I have this vivid memory. I was in Sunday school. I was watching the other like kids in my little Sunday school class, and the boys in my class were picking their noses and wiping their boogers on the back of our teacher's dress, and she didn't know.
Ew.
And I know, gross, right? But I had the vivid realization that no matter how good I was never going to get the promises that they had. And I thought, like, as an 8-year-old, I thought, God loves boys more than he loves girls. And I went and I, like, talked to my parents about it. I talked to all of the adults in my life that I trusted, and all of them either told me that, like, that was Satan trying to trick me, or I just wasn't understanding right, or no, you're wrong. Like, I was just told, no, you're just misunderstanding. You're just not interpreting it correctly. You're just not having you're not the right spirit, not the right attitude. And so I spent so many years just jamming myself into this, like, mold of what it meant to be a good God-fearing girl, and then a good God-fearing teenager. And then, like, I spent so much time and pain and energy trying to fit into this. And then discovering that none of it was all just a means of control it's hard. And so I don't want, if nothing else, I do think that, like, I can recognize that one productive thing that came from it, I suppose, is that, like, the reason, the thing that finally, like, because I'd been kind of questioning for a long time, but it was actually, like, my daughter was reaching the age of baptism, and I could not do it. Like, I could not make her get baptized. I just felt wrong. And at the time, I didn't have words to articulate why. But looking back, it's because I understood that she did not have informed consent. She did not understand what she was agreeing to, and I could not stomach making her do something that I knew she didn't understand. And so that was what made me go, okay, I'm really going to actually evaluate what I believe. Because if I'm going to make my child do this, I have to be sure that I believe in it. And that's what it took, like 2 days of genuine investigation to go, no, this is not real. Anyway, but I'm just trying to find ways both to heal. And I know, like, healing ultimately just takes time. But I want to do something with this feeling of, like, I want to help other people, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do. What would you suggest?
I do have one suggestion of, you can volunteer at places like Recovery from Religion to be like a like live chat support or whatever. I went through the training for that, and I've yet to do it on my own yet, but I think I'm doing my first time, like, this week. But even the couple I took, like, with my trainer, it's, like, really empowering knowing that you're helping people who are in the same position you have been, and it feels really good to, like, use that energy and what you've been through to help other people and provide them resources. Obviously, it's not about, like, talking them out of anything or whatever, but it's just sharing resources with them that could really help them in those situations. And I also know it's not for everybody, but the main thing that I did was making content, and I think the reason for that is I was so quiet in my real life, that the internet was a place where I felt like I was screaming into the void, because I didn't have anybody I knew on there. Like, I didn't follow anyone I knew, like, and I used a fake name. And it felt good to kind of be loud about my thoughts for once in my life. And I know there's a huge, you said you were Mormon? Was that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's, like, a huge, like, ex-Mormon community on, like, TikTok and stuff. And I know content isn't for everybody, but sometimes even if you just make videos and put them out there, it connects you with, like, a lot of people, and it's nice to even just, like, have conversations with people who have been through the same thing and feel the same, because you are definitely not alone in any of those feelings. And I've heard so many parents say that they started deconstructing whenever they had their kid, and they had to make choices like what you were talking about. And I think that makes so much sense, and it's super interesting to hear from parents when it comes to that. But yeah, you're definitely not alone in that, even in that specific thing of with your child, like having to make that decision. I've also heard that from like the deconstruction community. So I don't know if either of those are helpful, but those are two things that I found helped me in a couple different ways.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think even some people in the chat were talking about creating other support groups on your own or joining other support groups. You can also create groups or look for ones that already exist in your area to help help influence more secular education and programs in your area. And that sometimes helps too. Like, I agree with Taylor. A lot of what's been helpful for me has been creating content and finding, like, in creating that content, finding other people who understand. Like, community in, like, one of the hardest parts of leaving an organized religion is you lose your whole community. Like, it's not just,
I mean, I feel like I have no culture now at all. Like nothing, because like my whole family has been religious for literal generations. And so for me to leave, and I'm one of the first, like since leaving, my brothers have both admitted that they're out, and one of my cousins has confided in me, but I come from a very large family. Both like my immediate family and my extended family is large. And I'm so alone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone in the chat too recommended joining the Line Discord. Like, the whole Line community is really awesome because you know that all of these people are going to be aligned with like feeling the rage that you do towards the things that you missed in life. And if you're a patron, you get access to the Discord. I think it's like $5 a month. So that could be really fun. But I also, you're 33. Sorry, I keep kicking my table and it's shaking my camera. You're 33 and you have so much, like, you can restart so much of your life at 33. And I know that, like, there are things that have already like sort of, like there are things that have come and gone, but like, don't feel like you missed out so much so that that there aren't opportunities and things that you can experience now. Like, if I were you, I would create a little bucket list of things that you wish you would have done, but were not able to do. And like, find even if it's like a silly way to feel like you've checked it off of your list, like, I would say trying to pursue that and try and like heal the inner child in that way.
Yeah. I very desperately want to go back to school. I have for a while, actually. And I earned my bachelor's degree, but I've always wanted to get a master's. But it just, like, my degree is in studio art, but I've always wanted to get a master's in cultural anthropology and study the connections between the human impulse. Like, it's fascinating to me that across so many diverse cultures, across the whole span of human time that we know of, we as a species just have this impulse to create, to prove that we were here, to make a thing because I can. And I want to study that. But currently I'm in this position of like, okay, well, we have children and my husband has an established career and going back to school is money and everything, like, the economy is stupid and the government is like being taken over. And, there's all these external factors that, and I'm not saying this to say, oh, it'll never happen, but just like, that is probably a contributing factor in my frustration is that, well, now that I know, I want to change route. Like, I'm going to, like my time is precious now more than it ever has been, and I don't want to waste it. And so I feel this really strong urgency to like go and do the things I've always wanted to go and do. And it's frustrating to like run up against, okay, well, no. So I'm sure that is like a contributing factor.
I definitely feel that of when you leave religion, you're like, yay, I have all this freedom, and then you're also like, damn, I have all this freedom, like I have to like like it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword where like like freedom is nice. It can also be very overwhelming as like like I've had a lot of the same thoughts of like, yeah, damn, this is my only life, like it's like both freeing and scary because you're like I want to do, I want to make the most out of it and stuff. But it honestly sounds like you are and that's what's important. But yeah, I understand like the frustration of limitations of certain things right now. It's hard.
Yeah.
I also like someone in the chat said like one day at a time and you matter too. And that's true. And I think like sometimes this advice feels delusional, but sometimes it is an important push that where there's commitment, there's a way. Like if you feel committed to getting this master's degree and you can brainstorm ways to get the money together in whatever way you can, or have a conversation with your husband about like what your financial situation looks like, or like what schools are available to you, even if you go online, or you don't do 1 year online and then maybe finish and graduate from another school. Like, I think that there's so many ways that you could achieve what you're trying to, and it might just look different than the way that you're thinking about it now. But truly, like, there was one, I did this like leadership, like conference thing, and they had us like, the way they demonstrated where there's commitment is a way. I was literally just talking about this yesterday, is it was a group of 70 people. They had us all on one side of the room and we had to get to the other side of the room, and every single person had to get to the other side of the room in a different way. And we all were like, there's no way, there's 70 different ways to do this. And if you did something that someone else did, you had to go back to the back of the line and try again. And it was like, you could crab walk, you could skip, you could dance, like whatever. And we ended up doing it. We ended up having 70 different ways to get from one side of the room to the other. And the whole message was like, truly, where there is commitment, there is a way. And it just depends on like what you're willing to compromise on, where you're willing to place some risk, and also how much you're willing to really trust that like, you got this, actually. Like the freedom that you have is exciting and scary, but like you absolutely can do it. And you showed yourself you could do it because you did a bachelor's degree. So like you could absolutely do the master's degree. And you already have done something way harder, in my opinion, which is you left an entire way of life that like you didn't have all of the context of life that you have now until you left. And now you're like kind of like relearning all of this new stuff. Like that is so much harder to me. So anyway, the long and short of it is, where there's commitment, there's a way. Have a conversation with your husband and see if there's like anything that you can do to make school work, or any of the other things that you might want to try in this life.
I wanted to add really quick that I feel like I'm a great example of what Alyssa said, because I thought there was no way I could get a degree at all because I had like no parents in my life and no kind of support or whatever. And I actually worked for a job for like 7 or 8 years to like be able to, because they paid for my schooling because I worked for a specific job. And it took me so long. I didn't graduate until I was 30 because I was working like full time. But yeah, sometimes it like looks different, like she said, but there are so many different ways to go about it.
Thank you. You're making me emotional. I really appreciate it.
I even wonder if there's like a scholarship for there should be scholarships for people who leave like organized religions or fundamentalist religions, right?
Yeah,
There
I
should
don't
be.
know. I mean, there should be. There certainly should be. Like the amount of upside down and growth that I've gone through in the last 2 years is wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It is. It's wonderful. Like there is. It took me a while to like start feeling comfortable with. I've always been fairly assertive, so it's like I've always been the crazy feminist Mormon, but like I've always been fairly assertive, but I have also, especially in the last 2 years, really become aware of like how prone I am to like using people around me to clock how good or not good I'm doing. I didn't used to think that I had I don't know, self-esteem issues. And then I left religion and went, oh, I have deeply internalized self-esteem issues. But,
yeah.
So so thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate what you shared. Thank you very much.
Listen, this community is like truly, like, I'm glad that you've been watching this show, and the more that you get involved in this community, the more that I think you'll find that there is a community here that will hold you through moments like this, because many of us have been through exactly what you're describing and would never even dream of thinking that you're being dramatic, because like the chat has been this whole time has been like identifying with what you've been sharing. Like you're not even close to alone, especially on the line.
Well, thank you. Well, and that's part of how I like found the line at all, is because, you know, after I left, I mean, I'm still like low contact with my parents, but essentially my family's gone. Like everything I knew is gone. So it's just starting from scratch. So it is very lonely. And that's what kind of, I was looking for others. I was looking for others that understood that it's a unique kind of like, oh, I'm rebuilding everything from scratch and I'm totally liberated. Oh my gosh, I'm doing everything from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I feel like it can be hard finding like, I feel like maybe like a different type of community, because one thing religion does well is, you know, they meet once a week. Like it's very structured. And so
Yeah.
leaving that can feel very like weird. And I think like deconstruct or ex-Christians or atheists, whatever you want to call it, I still think there's a lot that can be done there as far as like building more and more community. But I think it is growing, obviously. But um yeah, it is a little more like you have to be like what you're doing, like be more intentional about it, because it's kind of something you have to like seek, as opposed to religion that's like always all up in your face.
Yeah.
But
It's
I think
like,
you're doing that.
thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I don't want to take up too, you know, I know that the point is to like prioritize this, so I don't want to like take over too much time, but I really appreciate you talking to me, and thank you so much. I feel better. Thank you.
Good. Oh, you're muted.
I'm sure, you know,
Alyssa.
like it'll be back tomorrow.
Sorry.
I'm sure the rage will come back, but for the moment,
It always
it's validating.
does.
It's
always
so good
does.
and validating to like hear I'm not alone. So thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And go through the live chats too, and like you'll see lots of support for you and also people identifying with you, but there's also lots of suggestions that people were sharing here, like recovering from religion.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a resource that came up in there for secular therapists, like lots of stuff in there. And like be a part of the line as much as you can and would like to be. Because like the one thing we certainly have here is community. Like every Tuesday, anytime I have not been on chewed gum for whatever reason, I genuinely like miss the people that are in here every week with me, because it is like like there are some different people, but it's like mostly the same kind of like people in the live chat, and like I know who they are, at least by username, and it's nice to have community around it, and it makes you also feel like not crazy when you are like, oh, I could literally punch a hole through concrete. What the hell? It makes you feel less crazy when someone else is like, exactly.
Yes.
So I'm really glad you called. Yeah, I'm really glad you called, and I know a lot of people in the chat are really glad you called too. So give us a call anytime, and we're happy to talk you through anything we can.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
Thanks,
You too.
Amy.
Bye, Amy.
Bye.
Oh.
Okay, we
Yes,
love
I feel like-
Amy.
Yeah, so many people relate to Amy. I relate to Amy.
Yeah. It's always when people call like
Sure.
that and they're like, I don't want to give you too much. I don't want to like give you like my life story. Like it's probably not even interesting. And it's always something that everyone in the chat identifies with. And I'm like, even if you think that what you're sharing is like, it feels too personal for, like, I promise you other people identify.
Yeah, and I just feel like each experience with like a ex-Christian, ex-Mormon, whatever it might be, is like so many people feel the same things, but they're also so unique that people are gonna like, yeah, they're gonna feel so alone. And then when they hear something you say, maybe it's like a detail or something specific about becoming ex-Christian, they're gonna be like, holy shit, I thought I was alone. And people have a lot to offer talking about becoming ex-religious because of all of that. Like, just that experience is very valuable to share with other people, for sure.
100%.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that last clip on Chewed Gum. You can catch us live Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. And please tell your Christian friends to give us a call and let us know why they believe in God. You can also support us by commenting, liking, and subscribing, and head over to patreon.com/calltheline.